Shalom, everybody. We are back with another video featuring Archangel Michael. Yay! So, we had discussed with Mom about doing videos more often or more frequent videos, and I brought up that Michael and Elle were planning on doing their version of what we had done with the Dr. Phil show Rebuttal videos last week. And since they hadn't gotten around to it yet, Mom had suggested that we interview Michael about the experiences that he had in Hawaii, what he noticed energetically, and also what he noticed with the Dr. Phil show as well. So, we're going to ask Michael questions and get his reflection on everything since he's been with Mom the longest. He knows the ego program mind the best because him and Mom studied it together and identified all the programmings. So, this is going to be from Michael's perspective, and if there's anything we have to say, we'll jump into. So, we'll start out with, how was the experience in Hawaii? So I know that you were in quarantine most of the time, but you were there for one night and one day, that what you saw at the house. So what was the experience with that?
It was surreal. I've never been in quarantine before. So having that adjustment and then just getting a feel of the people and the land. The land is beautiful. However, the people, I was very surprised, very shocked. It was elements of isolation, extreme form of separation, and a number of other dynamics that I was just very surprised. Dynamics that involve, mafia programming, for sure, definitely. Then the way people spoke as you're an outsider, not an actual person, but someone from the outside. So there's that separation element. Entitlement, hugely. There was so many forms of programming amongst the people. They've been indoctrinated. And I mention isolation because they're just not outside of the island. Like, they're not used to people outside.
Right.
So they're just stuck in this bubble. So these dynamics were just present that I felt, and then I just heard from the people.
And I mean, in one of the videos, the burn, loot, and murder videos, there's still a very deep belief system that they are not actually even a part of the United States.
Correct.
They actually said that in the video.
An extreme form of separation. The common term was our island.
Kingdom of Hawaii.
Our island. Okay.
Yes.
So
and your people.
It was stuck like in a time capsule. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of that expression. Yeah. And anything outside of that was like not accepted. And not to say all the people were like that. There were people that were open to, if you want to use the term, newcomers. But nonetheless, there was a lot of anger, a lot of hatred. I'll even use the word barbaric in many ways. And thinking that they're in some sort of evolution, evolved, when it's quite the opposite.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, you kind of saw the people that were there. We saw a little bit of it too, leaving the hotel because we didn't make it out of quarantine. But I saw people that were not Hawaiian joining the protest.
That's an interesting programming.
So if that's a programming that you can recognize of, like, they obviously are locals and have lived on the island, but they're not from there. So what happens to those people to make them that way?
The way I perceive it is spiritual ego. And the way I identify spiritual ego is just picture a robot who has indoctrinated or been downloaded with a program of linear spirituality. And linear spirituality is things of the external. The hair, the clothing, the words. And they're stuck in a robotic automatic behavior, not really at all being spiritual. It's just running a program and thinking that they know something because of what they've read, what they've been indoctrinated by other people, society, culture, and it just wasn't real. It wasn't real.
It was almost like the if you can't beat us, join us. Because the ones who were yelling the loudest were actually not native to Hawaii, which I found fascinating. It was almost like they wanted to get some badge of honor for defending,
Right.
And they weren't even native to Hawaii.
Do you feel that there's an element of fear behind that, of being like outcasted when they move to Hawaii and they're not local? Because it is also something that is prevalent not only to what Mom experienced, but the trickle down of that is also that with the Black Lives Matter burn, loot, and murder protests, is that people that are not of color are also doing the same as what Mom experienced. So is that based in fear, or, why do they do that?
There are elements of fear, but a common programming for people who are considered outsiders is they need to validate or present themselves in a way where they can be accepted. In other words, be fake.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can acclimate to their environment, to their people, to the people around, then that's what their intentions are, and they're not being real. It's just a form of, you could say, a form of peer pressure. So many dynamics involved, and it was real difficult to even communicate with them because they were so stuck in the program, so stuck. And even having just a bare basic conversation was elusive because they were so deep in the program. Heavy judgment, heavy hatred, hatred within themselves. So many obese people. The feminine were just stuck on automatic behavior, would say things repeatedly, just out of nowhere.
It was
just like, okay.
It was a glitch of sorts.
Yeah, you could definitely call it a glitch, and that's just how it was. The interaction. I would just stay centered and be the observer, and just like, okay, wow, you guys are heavily programmed, heavily.
Did you see a 50-50 of masculine or feminine, or was there more or less of a gender, do you feel, from what you can remember?
I felt the feminine were...
The feminine seemed more aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
More emasculated.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, just your interpretation, or to explain to people why usually Mom gets more hatred from the feminine, and especially since they're her age or their mothers or things like that, and why that's usually more common.
With the feminine, the amount of hatred amongst the feminine within themselves and everyone else was very apparent. And the other dynamic is that they were very malicious. They didn't care that mother was in a wheelchair. They didn't care if she had cancer. They didn't care if she's frail in physicality. So it's very de-evolved. When you can't feel or have empathy where someone else is at, and you're just spewing out your hatred, you're in just a very low level of consciousness, and was extremely apparent. And we'll touch on that more.
Yeah,
because there's more about that, a lot more.
Yeah, it was interesting because when we were there, we were we were battling thousands of messages a day, and there was someone who had messaged me personally, and they were basically trying to defend their behavior and their actions. And one of the things they said was that they have this belief system around feminine warriors, which was very deeply ingrained in the Hawaiian culture and what that meant. And I feel that that's something probably prevalent in other cultures as well, but this misinterpretation of what a feminine warrior is.
So, the feminine warrior is one of passion, one of bravery, one of courage. And that has been very misled in this realm. And I say that just because what they attempt to instill in the feminine is the imbalance of the feminine and masculine within. So the feminine in 3D, or the linear, the mind, will be more masculine, when that's quite the opposite. Bravery, courage, is feeling and being put in a position, in a choice point where you can instill change, where you can inspire others, not for you to lead them, but for you to be the example so they could lead themselves, get them out of their shit. Not because you have to do weights or work out, have bigger biceps. No, or speak in a way where it's like you're just intimidating or just talking shit. No, that's the old way, and it never worked. It never did. Trying to be in control, instill fear,
dominating.
Mm-hmm.
How about being love? I've learned where fear can, yes, make people do things, serve you in certain ways, but yet will they go the extra mile for you? Will they do everything for you? When someone or a group of people can love you, be in love with you for what you do, how you act, or what you speak, and those people will die for you and be happy with what they choose, because they feel that this was the highest.
Conditional love. Yeah, that's where a lot of people in these groups, or what we've experienced coming to mission, and Mom's experienced as well, is that the love is conditional. And that's what Michael is also saying as well, is that are the people you're surrounding yourself with, do they really have your back? And most people in the programming will always say, yeah, like my family's ride or die, my friends are ride or die. We all thought the same thing in 3D.
Ride or die till
like
at a certain point.
and that's how Mom felt too with her family as well. And we're not going to get into that or anything, about that right now, but, that Mom had also had these feelings of the people that were around her, that they would also be accepting of her mission and her calling, and they were not. And she saw the conditional love really for the first time through that experience, and that's what's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people, is that, everybody agrees with you, or they want equality, but until you have a different opinion, that's when it changes. That everybody wants equality in the programming, but as soon as you think or do something that is not based in the illusion, you realize that the love is conditional. And we've all seen it. Yeah. Mom's seen it. And for people out there that think that they are surrounded by people that support them no matter what, do something completely insane and see who's really sticking by you. Or, get up and leave your home state. See how many people still keep in touch with you. You don't know until you actually go out and experience things. And that's what Mom had to see, and what these people out there, I feel, they think that they are so right. But if someone around them had a different thought, if somebody on that island supported Mom and they were best friends with everybody that was hating Mom, that person would still be outcasted, because what they were feeling is different. And that's where the conditional love comes in for all of these situations and all of these people. No one knows what unconditional love is.
And it was funny, like, Hope and I have been joking about it, but, their new slogan was Aloha has won. But if you feel into it, I mean, what does Aloha mean? Isn't it hello and goodbye?
Yes.
So, hello and goodbye won, meaning nothing was real. It comes, it goes.
Right.
Aloha won, you're really just telling everybody that you have nothing real. Something comes, it goes, you say hello and goodbye to it. It doesn't stick. It's not real. It doesn't last. What about that has won?
Right.
And people always, I love the other comments of love has not won.
Yeah, that's another common one.
The energy behind that is bizarre in and of itself. But people feel that if they go against something that they don't understand, that they have somehow accomplished something. And this hyper-polarized world that we live in at this moment that's what everybody is doing. Anything they don't understand, they want to defeat it. And in some way, they're winning. They have accomplished something. And this hyper-intolerance for everything.
And also the flip that they think they're fighting for a good cause.
Yes.
And if you actually see the flip of it, just say the observer. Bravery, courage, these are actually feminine traits. It's not the knight in shining armor. It's not the masculine, being machismo or having bravado. See it this way. A woman who is crippled, having cancer, has to withstand the blows of a group of people who are tormenting her home, her car, and still standing firm.
Yep.
How many people, male or female, can say that?
None.
Nope.
And then you question what bravery is. Because you're standing outside a house screaming whatever your mind is convincing you is right. But in truth, you're just torturing a little girl who is attempting to share truth with you in her ways, in love. Even invited people to eat. In many cultures, to invite someone to their home and share food is a sign of respect, a sign of honor. And this is a tradition that has been kept for eons, generations. And she handed people of Hawaii that. And they spat at her, threatened her, destroyed her property. And then, where's the honor in that? Where's the respect? These people speak that they're fighting for a cause, and yet look what they're doing. That's how low conscious it was back then.
Yeah, and we've said it too on the other videos as well, and on streams. Mom got the experience of what is going on collectively right now in 3D land in terms of the separation, especially in terms of politics, which is the biggest divide right now in at least America and across the planet, as people are starting to wake up and spread the truth, as Mom always has. And she had to go through that experience first, and you can see how much it's blown up in a matter of weeks. This divide has gotten bigger with the collective. You can see the internal projections. We've watched videos of what's happening out there, and they're acting exactly how the Hawaiians were acting outside of Mom's house. They're irrational. They're screaming. Like Michael said, they don't even know what they're saying. Their mind is just
I was going to say,
these things.
We watched a video, of this girl having a breakdown about Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying.
Yeah.
She was screaming at the top of her lungs. And people have probably seen it. It probably went viral. But she was screaming at the top of her lungs, crying.
Like it's the end of the world.
Like it's the end of the world. That is the insanity that has ensued of this of the current state of consciousness, that people are absolutely going insane, and they project that onto us, onto Mom, that we are brainwashed, we are insane, and we laugh because look at what you're doing. Look at the way that you are acting. You are insane. And it is a fact that, this is a spiritual warfare. This is a psychological warfare. There's so much out there to show that everything since the day you were born, has been programmed to brainwash you. That was the purpose of culture. It was the purpose of social constructs. It was the purpose of television, radio, movies,
and
music.
A lot of tech was created to be in battle with Mother and put humanity in a state of consciousness of de-evolution. And we're going to touch on that because it has affected hardcore Hawaii, America, throughout the planet. And that was Mother's main thing, was that battle, the war on consciousness. Yeah. And that is just that statement alone is very broad, because in the totality, that is what we're here, is the war on consciousness, truth, being slandered, smeared, manipulated, and to a point where people are in a state of confusion, and that is the intention, is to put you all in a state of confusion when truth is being shared with you. Yeah. And Malas has been put through this for years, speaking whole truth, and yet the mind thinks it knows something more. And then the tech that was used against humanity, which a mother had to unravel so she can give humanity a shot.
Yeah.
Because humanity didn't have a shot.
No, the level of infiltration and the level of psychological warfare is far beyond what I feel most people even really understand. But there's so much out there, and that's the other part, is that people have become, they knew that the lazier they made people, the easier they were to control. So they made them lazy by saying, well, you won't have to do any research. We'll put it on the news for you. We'll put it on the radio for you. We'll give you the information. You don't have to look for it.
Right.
You don't have to do anything.
We'll write books.
Or write books. You just sit there and we'll
read.
just feed it to you. And, you know, there's fascinating information, and you can look at it if anyone's interested. It's the Church Committee from 1975, and they, you know, it was an interview with, I feel it was the Senate, but they actually spoke to top CIA agents who admitted that they were actually contracted with the media at that time to give them information to share
75.
with the. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's when she was born?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the Church Committee of 1975. Look it up. I feel it was right before Mom was born. And there's actually documentation that came out from a review, and it came out from one of the main movie studios, and it actually said on the documents that, you know, motion pictures, you know, in general, movies were created and pushed to enforce programming and propaganda. It's in the documents. It's public record. And nobody knows that, and so they don't realize that everything they've ever seen, every ad, every television show, every movie they've ever watched was specifically created for a reason, for a certain propaganda and a certain illusion to be pushed.
And there's the Dr. Phil show.
And then there's the Dr. Phil show, which is a perfect example.
It's on a channel, and it's a program on the channel.
Get it?
Get it? And it was, yeah, because Aurora was watching the Out of the Shadows documentary, just little bits and pieces of it the other day, and the guy starts out, it's like in the first few minutes of the documentary, he's like, well, what is a television? It tells a vision of what it wants you to see. And then it says, what's everything under? You pick different channels. And then what do you click on the channels? You click specific programs, which is the TV episodes. So it all is in your face. It's the same terminology Mom uses. It's the same to call out the programming, and you're actually watching a program through your TV.
No, it goes far more in depth than that.
There's definitely more in depth than that I don't know.
Just to share, the television covers, or attempts to cover, all the senses.
Yeah, good point.
So the sound, the vibration, the tone, the music, the color, the discussion, how questions are directed. And that's very important because that's how they redirect their version of truth, what they want you to only know, to perceive. And if you're not in tune with your senses, then you're far more easily susceptible to manipulation. All these things are considered, everything and more, because there is certain vibration with sound, with color, and the direction of how you speak with someone. And we're going to cover that, because that's what happened, and that's what I observed.
And that leads us into the Dr. Phil show as a perfect example of just everything of just what entertainment has become. What, people have, they're watching basically a reality show, and they're assuming that what they're seeing is real. I mean, the amount of reaction from people watching that show was fascinating to me, because even deep in the programming, I couldn't care less about like what anybody was doing. Like, I would never have spent 30 seconds of my time dedicating myself to what anybody else was doing if I don't care. And that's the most fascinating programming to me, is people that are so invested and so reactionary to something that they literally have know nothing about and has nothing to do with their lives.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me.
I mean, she's right. The show initially uses a doctor, because people have been programmed that someone with some title of doctor actually knows something. That's not true. It's far from it, actually. You've been indoctrinated to know something in which those in power wish you to only know. They keep you in a box of what they perceive as knowledge and control you. So with that being said, the knowledge that the people in that show had was very little. The amount of truth that they had within the show was very little. Within what they wanted to exemplify, what they found out about Mother, very little bits and pieces. And there were many dynamics in that show where you can hear how they were interviewing Mother individually on her own, and how they would misconstrue anything that she would have to say by the sound, by the tone, the color. This is psychological warfare. Okay? This is psychological warfare. And they would manipulate the truth. Okay? And they would use people who have been wronged in their perception and make them the ones that are injustice, when it's quite the flip. If the Dr. Phil show wants a real show, do a background check on the people that they interviewed, those feminine. You'll find some very interesting information, because I'm going to share with you right now a lot of the info. Linda. You might as well call her Jan. Now, you don't know who Jan is, but Jan was a relative that abused Mother as a child for years while she was in Linda's care. I want to make note of that. Mother was abused for years, physically, in the most horrible ways you can think of. What does that say? What does that say about Linda? And the daughters knew of the abuse. One of them even heard and saw the abuse constantly and said nothing. Then they wished to boast about how it is to be a parent, a mother, That wasn't revealed in the show.
Nope.
The show made it seem as if they were wronged, and that mother was not in the right, that she doesn't know how to be a mother. You can tell any parent who is dedicated to their child, if they find out a parent had their own child abused for years, you failed as a parent. You failed as a mother and a father. And there's more to that, because once that information was revealed about who done the abuse, the family did really nothing. The abuser was let go. And made it worse, they blamed mother, the child, accused her of lying. I'll even add more to this. The worst abuse, the night that she was abused the worst, she had 91 welt marks on her body. She counted. Do you know what it is for a child to count the beating of a family member in the experience? Take that in. Take that in. That's pretty fucked up. She counted, hoping that it would end. And it was documented. Pictures taken. And then these women, Linda, Tara, Chelsea, who knows about the event and yet wanted to crucify. Because that's what that show was about. It's a crucifixion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great way to put it.
So if you want a show, do a background check on them. How did that even occur? How did nobody get arrested? What happened to the family? And then years later, mother returned, in which Jan, the lady that abused her, gave a full confession in front of everyone of what she did. And mother forgave her and everyone else there. You know, that story always rings sirens for me, just because I was surprised at how much pride can consume a family and put it before the life of a child. But as you always hear me say, the white programming is really fucked up.
I will agree with that one.
Yep.
Yeah. And, you know, the other interesting part of that whole thing was obviously they portray the Dr. Phil show as, oh, families want to mend. They want to come on this show for some sort of resolution. What was the resolution? I didn't see shit. There was no resolution, and as you saw, and Hope pointed this out, I feel, is that during the interview when he asked Chelsea specifically, you know, do you feel there's any hope for, you know, mom or, you know, resolution, whatever, and she was like, no, it's too far gone. Well, then why did you write to the show, Chelsea?
Why have you been apparently writing for years?
Why have you apparently been writing for years if it was a long gone thing?
Because they want to suck on mother.
Yep.
Because they need the attention. And as a parent and as a family, mom has been on mission for 14 years. Ask the family how many times they've reached out to mom.
Very few.
Very few, and only within the last...
Since we've been here.
2 years less. I mean, it was once 2 years ago, and then I feel the most of the contact was within this year, you know, ironically, leading up to this point. So if you really love and care, where have you been for 14 years? Why have you never asked mom what's been going on for 14 years? What has she been through? What has she experienced? Mom offered for her whole family to come visit her.
Chelsea didn't feel safe.
Chelsea didn't feel safe. You know, Tara and Linda just bypassed it. So if you care so much, why won't you come see her? Mom also tried to get her oldest son to pay for him to come see her for Christmas. And Linda refused and actually said, no, he's coming to my house. So everyone wants to scream and yell, first of all, about mom needs to go back to her children. By the way, they're adults, so everyone can calm down about that. They're all adults, okay? She doesn't need to go back to them. They have their own lives. Number two, to prevent someone else's child from seeing their mother tells me everything that I need to know about Linda's intentions with anything. They want to bash her as a bad mother, but yet wouldn't allow her son to come see her, and also won't allow or give her information to contact her other son, which she has been trying to do for years, and they have withheld the information. So that's another point of that nobody got to see on the show.
Yeah.
There's more also with the show. The show exemplified self-importance.
Yeah.
And what Dr. Phil did, and a lot of masculine do, enable the lower feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Made them the stars. Gave them this illusion of justice.
Yeah.
Now, make no mistake, Mother had to transform all these energies, this experience of being abused, being betrayed by her family. And many of you out there can share who are pretty empathic when you're feeling sucked on by your family to the point where you have to just leave. Mother didn't just leave, she was on mission. She honored her mission, her choice to be here, to do her part, to assist humanity, to assist all of creation. What did they do? Bash her, belittle her? What did Dr. Phil do? Even moments in the show where Mother would try to share truth, and the common reaction from Dr. Phil, I don't believe that. Gives a fuck what you believe. Seriously. You are given truth, and you choose not to believe it. Because your truth is higher? Because you know something more? Or because you just want to have ratings and crucify someone who's dying? You piece of shit.
True.
And then his wife.
Oh.
Her reaction. You just see her, and she spews self-hatred. There's no professional there. And when you speak of the dynamics of children and how to raise them, trust me, being the essence of trust, I will tell you, the education system does not know how to take care of them. They know how to take away their spirit, program them, make them feel unloved, make them into robots. So, what is Mother trying to do here? Flip all that. But yet the show gave a different story. A version, a very perverted version of truth. So the show's main intention was for ratings and to crucify someone. And there's more. The other girls that were there, they brought up, what's this other guy's name? Alex. Pretty sure a lot of the masculine out there can really relate to needing to run from family or from a wife. Because if you see that lady and how she shares information, that guy ran to us for help.
She was also abusing him.
Say that louder?
She was also abusing him.
Wow.
He told us that.
On the phone.
On the phone, on a session.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that experience. The guy was crying for help. Oh, and the primary energetic in this whole show was lack of accountability on a tremendous scale. Blame. You know, people really need to look at themselves instead of projecting to others about their shit. And Mother stood firm. She spoke her piece, if she was allowed to. And yet, it was bypass. Again, psychological warfare. Hope and Aora. didn't even get to really speak.
Got like
It was mostly face, just FaceTime. I mean, look at that. The girls that had so much information to share and wouldn't be allowed to. Gee, I wonder why. And I call out Dr. Phil for lack of integrity, lack of honor, disrespect to the feminine, enabling the lower, crucifixion. You're no different than the others. You may think you're doing a service, but you're not. And I call you out on that.
Yeah, I think the big one that I wrote in the notes of, that there was so much, as Michael was sharing, the projection onto mom and the self-importance of blaming mom for all of these events when, again, everybody has to take full accountability. First of all, Alex's family was not even involved in the events at all. This involved Alex himself and his choice to, on his own free will. Again, we shared this in the last video. If you didn't watch that and you just commented, if you're going to watch this one, we'll say it again. We told Alex not to come to mission. I said this on air while we filmed. It was cut out of Dr. Phil. They completely cut out our rebuttals back towards Ashley and Alex's family. And the first thing I did want to address was that I told him on the phone on the session the day before he booked his flight not to come to mission, that he is not ready. He has a family. He has a wife that is not supportive, that is freaking out, and obviously started to abuse him or has abused him in the past and did abuse him in those moments trying to get him to stay. And I said, you need to figure these things out first before you make a move to come be out here with us. He did not listen. He is a grown man. He made his own decision.
And he has funds, too. He could have left easily at any moment, yet why he did not leave back to his family? He could have driven back. He could have taken a flight back. But he didn't. Why? Why not back to his wife? That was so supportive.
They had to come kidnap him, basically, is what happened.
And blame us.
And blame us. And we said it on the last stream, and we'll say it again. I showed the text messages live on the camera and the calls from him that day that he was supposedly missing. He wasn't missing. He was calling and messaging. He was in fantasy. He was overwhelmed with energy, which is, again, why we said he wasn't ready to come, because Mom's Field is very intense. So he was well aware of what he was doing. He left the house. He was on his own little adventure, and he was calling and messaging. His family also admitted that they spoke to him, so he wasn't missing. He chose to leave the house, and he chose to go on his little adventure on his own. I will repeat, he is a ex-military grown man, not a child. And they also...
still afraid of his wife.
Who is still... Well, yes. But they also cut out the part where I addressed Ashley on the show. Ashley was there at the house with Alex. She knows and is very much aware that Alex left on his own. She knows, and I called her out on camera and said, you're lying, and you're not saying anything because you know the truth, and they cut that part out also.
And you could do a little background check on Ashley and her programming, which is very deep. Young Irish stripper.
I feel she has some Irish.
Religious programming.
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness. If you know about the Jehovah's Witness, it's pretty deep and fucked up. And why does she come out this way? Because it had to be about her.
And the projection of the good old mind manipulation of what they say mom does with the sleep deprivation and the working outside that Ashley was claiming, all the same things that we have addressed on other videos, the sleep schedule, the service work, whatever you want to call it. Ashley was fully aware and fully okay with all of it, as she expressed many times when we checked up on her when she was with the team. There was no issues until she left. But the Jehovah's Witness programming and what we saw right before she left, because she didn't flee for her life, everybody. Did she leave her stuff behind? Yes. If she wants it back, hit us up, girl. We'll happily return everything that's yours to you if you want it. We will happily give all your belongings back. You just didn't take them with you. And
lack of accountability, blame.
Yes, and we drove you to the airport. Larry drove you.
Remember?
All the way to Denver. So you weren't fleeing for your life. You didn't have to leave in the middle of the night scared that we were going to keep you and hold you hostage.
You got a ride.
You got a ride.
And said you were coming back.
Right.
Which is why you never brought your stuff.
Yes, and the interesting thing back to the mind manipulation of all of this is that that's what her family was doing to her, and that's what she's projecting onto Mom, is that her family, from what we know, we obviously don't know the full story, but the little details that she was sharing right before she left was that there was something involved with her child, something with the father, and custody battle, and her family, who is Jehovah's Witness, was trying to, take him away from her husband, who's not the father. It was this whole family dispute, but they used mind manipulation and her child to do what they did.
Back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what she was projecting onto Mom. She was mind manipulated to leave mission, to go figure this out about her child. They used that against her. They used these mind attacks of threatening with her child and the father and the family, and they are also Jehovah's Witnesses. So there's this huge projection of what happened in Mom's experience, and what was going on with Ashley was actually just her family.
And she shared that in many sessions that we had with her before she came, was how deep the mind manipulation was with Jehovah's Witnesses and what she had experienced growing up and being in that environment. So it is just very fascinating for someone who had that experience and then came to mission.
It's the flip of Alex's experiences. She was manipulated by her husband. Alex was manipulated by his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yet none of this was revealed in the show whatsoever. Look at that. None of that. These are the backgrounds of the people that were trying to speak their piece of what they perceived as truth, and they wanted justice.
For something.
And the misconception that Mother's not here to help people when that's her main focus. But look at the level of programming that these people have. The deep, unevolved state of being. It is profound. And even those in the show who chose not to really go further in finding out the truth. All the things that they shared is true. It's true.
Yep.
Of course, Dr. Phil's response would be, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
It goes to show you where his level of consciousness is at. Dumb.
He also was hired by Oprah, who is one of the
Which we didn't know.
We didn't know at the time.
I didn't know at that time.
People told us, they're like, you didn't know that, really? That he started on Oprah, same as Dr. Oz. I knew Dr. Oz started with Oprah. I did not know Dr. Phil, but it was right, as soon as you Google it, it comes right up that he was on Oprah. I was like, we should have known. We should have been more prepared. And, there was just a deep, with Mom and this whole experience was that, Mom knows these things. The Galactics, Robin knows that all of these people are cabaled. But, Mom and the Galactics who, encouraged Mom to do this, to speak her truth or attempt to, which she really didn't get to at all, that they also see this glimmer of an opportunity to flip, that these people have opportunities to flip the energetics to help Mom, to push her message. And, what you saw was Dr. Phil and the people that spoke out against Mom just ripping up their soul contracts and throwing them away. That he had an opportunity to share the truth. We provided a lot of information that was not shared, and even stuff that obviously we have mentioned what they cut out of what we said, but they also in the filming showed very brief, like less than 30-second clips of me, Aurora, and only Dylan when the entire team sent video testimonials. They used 3 for the filming.
And they didn't even play it in the final episode.
No, they did not. They did not play a single testimonial video. They played, I feel in the beginning they played a little snippet of my video. That was it. But they didn't say it was a testimonial.
And they asked for everyone to submit video testimonials, which we were happy to do. The
tour
whole
of the
team.
house.
They asked for a tour of the house and to give kind of an insight as to what we do every day, which we did. We showed all of the holistic healing products we make. We showed, you know, the gardening, the land work we do. We did all of that. We submitted at least 30 written testimonials, which was just 30 out of hundreds. We just chose ones we felt were, you know, really great examples. They didn't use any of it. And beyond that, you know, they attempted to kind of last minute us, where Hope and I were originally not going to be on the show. We had no we had no awareness that we were going to be on the show. They called us an hour before the live taping and said, "Can you be on the show?" Now, for an average person, I feel that is obviously an attempt to throw them off their game. Mm-hmm. Little do they know we've done live streams at the drop of a hat. You can put us on any video within 10 seconds. Doesn't really matter to us. But that was obviously a psychological attempt to shake us up in some way and to throw us off, not have us be prepared.
And then Dr. Phil made it seem like he was a hero for asking us to be on the show. Or I don't even know if it was him that recommended, or a producer. That
we don't know.
We don't know to this day. But anyways, Dr. Phil had said on the show to us, he was like, well, you know, you guys weren't even supposed to be on here. I wanted to do it. So, so she had some support on the show. And I was like, great, you're a saving grace. You still bypassed everything we said and like just wanted to make himself like look good. Like I allowed you to be on the show, like as if we were begging him to be on the show. We didn't ask. We prayed. We were like, hopefully someone's there to back Mom up. And we were asked, like Aurora said, an hour before the filming. It was all very last minute. And again, he came on the show and in the filming acted like he, out of the goodness of his heart, allowed me and Aurora to be on the filming to support Mom, which she would have got absolutely fried, way worse than she did had we not been there. And we're grateful that we were there because she needed support. However, it was not out of the goodness of his heart because, again, it just made us seem like when we said our final piece, they had that cult expert say something like, he was like, well, that's exactly what people in a cult would say, because we were just saying how much we love Mom and how great she's been, and we're the feminine you see today doing all of these things for Love Has Won, and what you guys have seen on the live streams daily, every morning, everything has been a product of Mom and how she's trained us and got us out of the programming. And we were just sending her, you know, just giving her love and honor, and the guy was like, yeah, that's exactly what, you know, brainwashed people in a cult would say. What, that you love somebody that's helped you?
And it was funny because they actually weren't even going to let us speak at all. That was the intention, that they were going to have us on. They let us speak a little bit in the beginning, but then they were allowing, you know, Alex's family, Ashley, all these beings to say things that were not true. And in the middle of the live taping, I texted the producer and said, are we going to get a chance to speak? Because as far as I could see, they were giving Mom this much moment to speak. He was talking over her most of the time. They weren't letting us, you know, rebuttal or share our side at all.
Let's not also forget, any time that Mother would speak or share truth, which is always truth, the reaction that Dr. Phil went into, his mind, his entire body was spinning. You saw like his body went to a fritz. Something went off because he couldn't receive the information, he couldn't take it in because he was that programmed. And yes, his intention was to throw stones at Mother. Look at that. Just feel into that. The type of person or group of people that will throw stones at someone who can't stand for herself. So, that's what they were there for, to stand up for Mom. And even that was taken away from them. Well, I'll share with you all. I stand up for Mother.
We do too.
So do they, and a lot of other people here too. You can throw it at us. We can take it. Because we stand for Mother. we stand for love, not for what your mind thinks that we function in a cult dynamic. What cult functions to help humanity to create holistic medicines, to help heal people out of their ailment, affliction, and many other dynamics, all created by mom, guided by mother, in love.
For humanity.
For humanity, and call it a cult. Express our love for someone who has helped us in her own special way. Because these two feminine can share with you how much mother has helped them both in their own experience before they arrived here and when they arrived here. And I could sure as fuck do the same. Because it's been a long journey for me, and that's why I'm still here. I'm the first witness.
It's true.
So I can share in truth the accomplishments that mother has done throughout her life and present. And it's profound. And I'll speak to you in a neutral observer. Because that's how I took in the truth of what was really happening. Moving beyond what's right and wrong. And really taking in, wow, the magnificence of what love, what mother can do. It's fucked up that it happened the way it did, but there were still benefits to what happened. People did connect in. People did feel mother.
Mm-hmm.
They even saw her light and shared it with us. We're grateful for that. We're grateful for to make those connections because it's important. To spark someone's light within and for them to connect in is profound. And that's what we're here for. That's what mother's here for.
Yeah, and there's also an interesting word that was thrown around the show multiple times at Mom, and I feel Michael's the best to address the energetics of this word since he probably knows it the best besides Mom, is that the cult guy, and I don't even know, somebody else, maybe Dr. Phil, I don't freaking know, I don't remember really the whole show anymore, but they kept saying she's a narcissist. So I feel, and since that often is thrown by the trolls of their own projection of their narcissism, for Michael to explain truly what a narcissist is, and maybe give you some examples of what he saw on the show so you can see the difference between Mom and a narcissist and get an idea of it.
In this example, it is a bit unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring that up just because Dr. Phil was attempting to accuse her of being God.
Interesting.
So, and I use that example just because, well, what is God to you? In the mind, masculine, muscular, old, bearded, in judgment, in fear. If that's your perception, your inclination of God, then yeah, you would be perceiving someone to be narcissistic. But in truth, God is love, unconditional love. The essence of the divine child within. Traits of the divine mother, nurturing, caring, firm, speaks in truth, always. Is that narcissistic? No, far from it. That's divine. That's love. And yes, Hope and you are correct, it is projection. Because what would be the white programming? Very, very narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
And mother projects everything back to you. So the trolls, her family, everyone else in the show. Narcissism is also a socio-psychological trait, socio-psychopathic. And yes, for those who are in the white programming, for the most part, run in socio-psychopathic behaviors. You won't learn that in psychology class because they can't see within themselves. So take note of that. If you are still running in the white mind, which is one of the lowest consciousness on the planet, next to the Jew, and yes, next to the feminine, which all can be combined. Yes, you do run in social psychopathic behaviors. Yes, you are narcissistic because it's about you and your reality and what you think is right and wrong, which is all illusionary. A blocked of feeling. Feeling's divine. Being love is divine. So this is why this example is a bit different, because now you know where Dr. Phil was having trouble, his inner turmoil. It's because of his definition of what God is.
It's true. Yeah, and there was just, I was going to feel into something else that they said on the show, but then it left me.
Well, I was going to say it was fascinating about the projection, because after the Phil show, we started seeing all these articles about Dr. Phil,
Mm-hmm.
which we had never seen before. I don't often Google Dr. Phil. But the projections, the mind manipulation, those kind of things where Dr. Phil has already been sued multiple times. For what? For manipulating his guests. There was a gentleman on there, and I feel he was actually in the government or something, or he was someone well known, and he was on the show as a recovering addict.
Yeah, I just remember that he was the addict in his story with the show.
And, they had him on once or twice, and they purposely tried to feed him alcohol and
Xanax.
Prescription pills, Xanax,
But
to fuck him up.
And the first time he drank it. So he went on the show shit-faced. So he came out stumbling, looking like how they wanted him perceived on the show, as an alcoholic.
And enabling the lower.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he recalls somebody, on a staff member, handing him a Xanax. So he was Xanned up, alcoholed up, and he went onto the show. He went back again as for maybe, another, like a check-in, or he was a follow-up popular guest or whatever. And they did the same thing to him again. However, he was much more stable, where he did not do it the second time. But the first time he was so unstable that he did drink. It was a bottle of vodka, and then he did take the prescription drug. So he went on the show inebriated. Like, he was screwed up. And it was exactly how they wanted him to be. And it's interesting, too, because we've seen episodes, and now I'm feeling into it. I remember we watched that episode one time, and this girl was on there, and she couldn't even speak.
Yes,
and she
I
looked,
remember that.
and she was somebody that was drinking all day, every day, completely alcoholic. And I'm wondering if they had also given her, or somebody like that,
probably
stuff for the show, because she was drunk on the show, too.
I mean, how much, emotional and mind manipulation is that? And he was also sued, and complaints were made by his employees for, ironically, locking them in a room and verbally abusing them. So who's projecting onto who?
And let's also add, how they approach us was also very fake.
Yes, it was fake.
You can share how they spoke to Hope and Aora, even Mother, where it was a lure.
They're trained to do it.
And Mother, who's embracing, wants to give everyone an opportunity to grow, to move beyond where they're at. Of course, allow it. It's an opportunity to share the truth, because it's been so stunted here. Any moment someone shares truth, it's mixed with fantasy, belief systems, so many other dynamics. So yeah, they lured us into the show, and with the hopes that it would be in integrity that the truth would be shared when it was not.
Yeah, and I know Mom, to this day, and we won't know till things are, revealed to Mom and us, is that if the producers were being real, she, does feel something with them. She felt something with them, that they were, being genuine, even if they were trained to, do that to people that are coming on the show. We did feel, a resonance when we spoke to some of the people. They were very nice. They were very welcoming. There is that coin of, they are trained to do that, to be nice to people coming on the show, to kind of blindside them. They were obviously well aware of the material being gathered, that, it was going to be a slam piece against Mom. But, they attempted, or, they made it seem like it was going to be equal sides of, Mom's videos, her work, the team, testimonials, what we do every day, and it wasn't. So, it was hard, that for Mom was a bit hard, because, again, even if, people are like, well, how could you fall for, have you seen Dr. Phil, have you seen his shows over the last couple of years? They're obviously so staged, and it's like, Mom doesn't put, Mom hasn't watched Dr. Phil, in years. She hasn't watched it in a very long time. So she wasn't aware of it. We don't watch TV. And, of course, the way that they were treating her, how they approached her, how kind they were, for Mom, it's like a child. She's in pure love-based vibrations. Mom doesn't have this ego wall-up of not trusting people. She doesn't automatically, in the Galactics, too, in 5D consciousness, don't go, is this person fucking you over? Are they lying to you? Are they deceiving you? That, to Mom, doesn't exist in her reality. It doesn't exist in 5D of being an asshole to screw people over. Mom has only had that experience being here in a physical vessel with humanity. She doesn't know these frequencies.
We were even pretty naive about it. I was like, it's going to be great.
But I do feel, though, that there was some genuineness from the producers, because they did fight. I mean, Aurora did message the girl, freaking out a bit, that they were going at us lying, making blatant lies about everything, and that it wasn't looking like we were going to get a chance to rebuttal anything. And she took the moments to go on there or message or tell the people to tell Dr. Phil to give us a chance. Right. So there was a bit of realness in there. However, what Michael is saying, that they are trained to do this to people because they want the drama. They want, to lure people in, because if they treated you like crap, you would never be on the show. If they treated you how they were going to present you on the show, if you're on the other side, if you're not on the offensive side with Phil, if you're on the defensive side, they still have to be nice to you, so you actually do and go on the show.
The other interesting part is, like Michael was saying, everything is psychological warfare. There's a tactic that I noticed that Dr. Phil used, which is a legal tactic, which is the same concept, psychological warfare. Anyone who's ever been in a courtroom knows it's all psychological warfare, is the leading question. They phrase the answer in the question. So no matter what you say, the audience has already heard the answer in the question. So they're already preconditioned to not believe you when you respond. So for instance, his questioning to us, I remember one specifically where he was like, do you guys have an issue with how much she drinks, or that she's an alcoholic, something like that? He's already put his answer in the question. So the audience has already heard that. So now anything we say after is null. And that's a common tactic that lawyers use. So no matter what the witness says, they've already implanted the answer. That's how they mind manipulate juries.
And they're fully aware of this. Take that in. They're fully aware of how they ask the questions.
Of course.
They do this, why? To manipulate and control consciousness. Where they can swing you into their perception, their reality, and tell you this is truth. Anyone that uses the word, I don't believe, it doesn't matter what truth you share to that person. That person has created a reality, a box, a construct, where nothing, truth won't come in. It's their truth, what they perceive as truth. And who does that? She just shared lawyers. churches, religion,
Government.
Everyone, doctors, certain words, certain phrases, and it started out with that. I mean, the immediate when we just watching the filming, and obviously it was pretty similar to how they started the show. Was it immediately started out with Linda or Chelsea or somebody talking about mom, their concerns for mom. She's a cult leader. We feel she's this. We feel she's that. She's all these negatives. So as soon as you start watching, you start hating mom by default. You hate her. She's a horrible person. She is the biggest asshole that you have ever seen come on this Dr. Phil show. That's exactly, because I will never forget the moment that the filming started and they did the opening clip, which is what they opened with on the first show. And me and Aurora just looked at each other and we were like, fuck.
Yeah.
Here we go. Like, because it just started out with that, which is how all the shows are.
As soon as it started, we were like, oh,
we were
shit.
Like, this is how this is going to go. It immediately started with that. It started with the hatred. It started with all of the lower things that the egos see in mom because it's in them. It immediately started with all this negativity, perceiving mom in the lower. And from that point on, we were like, this is going to be very hard to come back from because the way that they were showing mom was in the light, like Michael said, of their reality. The reality of Dr. Phil and the trolls and mom's Earth family who wanted mom to be perceived as they perceive mom in their reality, not true reality.
Why not share the truth? Cole, mother's son, visited her not too long ago, a few years ago.
Or she visited him in Oregon.
He came to visit her?
Oh, he came too?
Well, yeah, Cole came to visit her in Oregon.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. We just knew that
Yeah.
she had shared one time that they had gotten like dinner and stuff like that. Oh, wow, that's cool.
And
they lied about that.
they could have shared that experience. And he was very happy.
He said he wasn't.
He was going to college, sharing his experience with his mother. And yet that wasn't shared.
Mm-mm.
That wasn't shared how she did raise him in truth, in ideals of love, and how he grew up to be someone solid, someone who feels, who remembers her teachings. But that wasn't revealed.
And was on his own as a college student. He wasn't in the local area of mom's family. He's in a completely different state by himself. He has not moved back to be with mom's family. He is still where he's been when mom and him met up. And, we addressed this in the other video too. We'll say it again because they obviously were not aware that while mom was in Hawaii, she did have contact with Cole, that they did speak together on Skype. So on the show, which was filmed a few weeks after they had spoken, Tara had said, they were like, has mom talked to her children? And she said, no, they want nothing to do with her. And that's not true. Mom has also spoken to her daughter years ago, but it was after mom had been on mission.
And also, Cole brought his girlfriend.
Yes.
And Cole has shared stories of his mother in the light, to the point that his girlfriend was grateful to meet her. It was a joy for her to meet mother. Someone who never met her before and had the experience of being in her presence. Exuded no hate, nothing like that. That wasn't shared. Those are important things to show that whatever the show was trying to portray was not real. I mean, you're trying to have people in low conscience trying to tell mother about how to raise children, what's right and wrong. And she's been the example, and her children as well, because they remember her. They remember the love that they had with her and how she raised them. That wasn't shared. So you have to ask yourself, how do you feel about this? Because what we're sharing with you here is It's truth. What was not shared with you. What happened on the show. What really happened. As you can see how humanity has treated Mother, and it's reflected in the show. Humanity has a real deep issue with being in the presence of love, being love, exuding love, because it's all based on conditions.
Conditional love, a box, and on top of it all, how one-sided this everything was for this experience of being on the show. Of course, that nothing was brought up of Mom's experiences being on mission, the start of mission. They made it seem like this was, we were laughing about this the other day of, it started out with, it was like, yeah, we knew, back in the early 2000s when she, started traveling across the states, and it's like, what, she's a grown woman in her early 30s, and she's not allowed to leave her home state where her family's at. They were well aware she was going, and started to travel. Like, that's a crime. That shows that somebody is mentally ill. That she has problems.
They were like, we knew it was weird when she moved to another state.
Like, okay, because she doesn't want to stay in the state with you guys because she has a higher calling. And, for what everybody is attacking Mom of leaving her children, which we address so many times in so many live streams and the rebuttal videos, of course, is that all of her children, she said it on Dr. Phil, she signed all of the papers to all of their fathers. She talked to all of the fathers and said, I have to do this, and it is not safe for me to bring my children what I'm about to do and what was going on at the time, because she had already been experiencing people trying to kill her. So she signed all the paperwork. She did everything as she was supposed to. And they still want to come after her. Like, she just up and left her kids in an empty home and one day was just gone. They're with their fathers. They have family. Oh, hello. Hello, Mr. Fox. Okay. Hello, sir. He's like, you guys talking about Mom or what?
I know. But it's a great example and exactly what we were talking about in the beginning of the psychological warfare. This show was just a small snippet of your entire existence. Your entire existence has been preconceived for you.
2 hours.
2 hours summed up your entire existence.
That was mostly commercials.
That
was.
They give you a preconceived way of sharing information that you've already made your decision.
They decided for you.
They decided for you. And you all fall for it every day.
Every
day in and day out. It's
time.
cognitive dissonance, what Michael was talking about with Dr. Phil, of him saying, I don't believe that, when something is shared that contradicts his beliefs. I don't believe that. And that's all of you. That's all of humanity. Anything could be shared with you that is truth, but you already have a preconceived belief system, so you shut it out. It doesn't exist to you.
Like Christians.
Cognitive dissonance.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
How many people, and Mom knew it was going to come with this community of people, but they immediately shut down Mom because Jesus is a man in their reality, of the Cabal Bible-created reality, that Jesus is a man, God is a man, even though Father was on the episode. Father God is here. And what about the mother essence? Why was that forgotten? It's like saying that it's just the father creating a child and the mother has nothing to do with it.
Which is weird.
Very bizarre.
Which is
Very
weird.
bizarre, because most of the people coming after Mom are parents. And they don't even want to open their hearts to something different. That Jesus is a man, God is this, God is that, God can't come in the physical, God wouldn't do this, God doesn't like chicken parmesan, God wouldn't reject meatballs, God this isn't God, God wouldn't discipline her children, God wouldn't hold a cat up, and apparently, abuse it. It's like, do you guys even know what's going on this planet? Do you actually know what animal abuse looks like? Do you actually know what child abuse looks like? Why don't you talk to Mom about her experiences of being abused as a child? She'll happily tell you what it's like to actually be abused.
And it doesn't include timeout.
Right. And how many times, even on the show and the rebuttals, there was no locking done. in the closet. And still, you locked a child in the closet. It's like, if you watch the video, which you obviously didn't, because you don't want to hear the truth, so you just make your comments when you see us post something, and you just run your mouth thinking you know better, and it's completely false. I'll give you an example today. So this woman comments on a comment that Tara had posted on a video saying, I love you, Amy. Amy Renee, I love you. I send you love and prayers. This woman comes on and is like, how dare you support this woman? And I commented back, I said, this is her sister. She can do whatever she wants. If she wants to send her sister love, let her do it. And she goes, that's her sister? Lies. All lies. And I'm like, it is her biological sister. This is 100% true. That is her sister. She goes, I watched the Dr. Phil show, like sending all these things. I'm like, if you watch the show, lady, you would know that that's her sister. And she still didn't want to believe it. I'm like, that's how lost in the sauce they are.
Lost in the sauce.
They brought up a number of good points, which I'm going to exemplify.
Go for it.
So, there's the cat. Then there is the drinking. Then there is the not being a mother. They're using all these tactics to move you away from the truth. And what's the truth? The higher consciousness. Who Mom is. Why we're here. Why she's here. All of creation is here. They use all these little things in which humanity unfortunately takes in distraction to take you away from truly connecting in here. Look at it. The examples that she gave. There's a cat. There's drinking.
Religion.
There's the
children.
Dynamics of sleep deprivation, which is retarded. All these things to take away from the truth. And this just brings up a discussion that Mother had with me a while ago. It's called maturity. Humanity as a species has not matured much compared to all of creation.
Right.
Look at where humanity's at. How they communicate with one another. How they communicate and commune with the planet. How they communicate with the etherics, with the angels, the fairies, the galactics. This is very much maturity. Humanity has to evolve with the planet, not without it. And it's in these distractions that prevents humanity from evolving. Because they're so hooked on the external. That's the trolls, looking on the external, commenting on people's looks, how people speak, and not feeling on the information that is being shared. And I'm grateful that we connected with those that did feel, that did see the truth, felt the truth. Because that was part of the intention as well, to get the information out there, to spark those in the heart that have been missing the boat for quite some time. And yes, humanity is still very immature. And it's through the experience in the physical that we grow. But if you're still stuck on the cat,
you got a long way to go.
The alcohol, smoking, whatever your mind conceives as right or wrong, then no, you're not going to evolve. And that goes for a lot of the people that think that they're evolved.
Especially them. And I love, and the trolls get so triggered because, all day long, they do that same thing, like Michael's talking about. focusing on the external, making assumptions, being immature. And, one of my favorite things to do is to reflect it back to them so they can see it. And I'll often, if someone comments something, which is absurd, I will go to their profile and I will view it. And within 30 seconds, I can pretty much energetically sum up what's going on with them. And many times I have screenshotted statuses they've made, photographs they've posted, and I will respond back and post that. And they will lose it. They will lose their shit and be like, oh, that's so immature. And I'm like, it's yourself. Like that. Look at yourself. I am reflecting it to you so you can see that you're talking about yourself. And they hate it. They fucking hate it.
The best was this lady that came on and started spewing word vomit about how mom's an alcoholic. And her middle name on Facebook was Fireball. And her profile was saying how much she loves Fireball.
Do you see the projection?
I was like, lady, you have Fireball as your middle name. So who's the one that's... Mom's middle name is not an alcoholic beverage on Facebook. Yours is. So who's the one that really enjoys the drinking and takes advantage of it? And we've just connected with people more recently since this, and hearing some people's experiences with alcohol and with substance abuse, and hearing what people are struggling with out there is fascinating of what they have projected onto mom. The drinking, the smoking, the drugs. It's like, you come on here, how many 50 million times you want us to say we are not on meth? For them to still say, meth, 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 meth. It's like, well, have you tried meth? Because you must know, since you have all this wisdom on meth users, that you must be surrounding yourself with people who use meth, and you're projecting it outward. That's how insane it is. I'll give you a fine example. My Earth mom, head of the trolls, Debbie, is an alcoholic. She would be drunk all the time. While I was there, she gave me alcohol at 14 years old and said, fine, here you go, drink up, have fun. She let me have parties. She let me do all these things, and she loved drinking. She loved going out. She would leave us behind and go out drinking with her friends all the freaking time. I'm like, who's the alcoholic here? I'm pretty sure it's you. I'm pretty sure I watched you drink yourself into oblivion many times, and you continued this pattern for years. And I can guarantee you that has probably not changed.
No, it's probably increased.
Since I have not spoken nor had a relationship with that woman in a decade.
And there's another thing, since she brought that up, and also what the Dr. Phil show really tried to exemplify is self-hatred.
Yes.
They took people who hate themselves so much.
Yep. Are guilty.
Especially the feminine, because of how much this realm has conditioned them to be separate of themselves, to not be unified, to hate one another. I just shared with you what Mother Sisters witnessed.
Right.
What her mother, her Earth mother, had to take on in the experience of being a failed parent. Ashley, the stripper, Tim's wife. The amount of self-hatred. And of course, let's not forget Dr. Phil and his wife. How much they hate themselves.
How much they hate humanity.
How much they hate humanity, that's right.
They hate all of you. They hate you. And you fall for it every single time. They are cabal minions. And they want you to hate yourself as much as they do because they have skeletons in their closet. We will soon find out, eventually down the road, what those are and how deep it gets with Dr. Phil and all of those cabal minions. However, they want you to be on their side so that you feel bad for them when the truth comes out about the horrible things that they have done to get in the position of power, to be on a major cabal news network. I'm pretty sure he's on like Channel 4 or something CBS, like that. Yeah, it's a very hijacked, everyone knows about CBS. all of those major news networks. What do you have to do to get yourself to be on a TV show like that for years? To put yourself in power? Look what Oprah's done. Everybody knows what Oprah's done. Everyone's seen the videos of her justifying child pedophilia, and everybody knows what she did with all of her schools and her money and what they did to the kids. Dr. Phil is entangled with that. They are getting everybody ready. They want you to hate yourself so bad that you feel bad when the truth comes out about them, and they want to be seen as victims. They are not victims. They are manipulators. They are the narcissists, and they have every single one of you that hates mom and projects onto her exactly where they want you to be.
And that completes the definition of narcissism.
There we go. How about that full circle?
And we'll find out with the trolls as well. Those who yell the loudest have the most to hide. Always.
Wow.
Those who, and I've seen that forever. Those who always wanted to, and you can see it in every facet of programming. Those who boast the most about what they have. Listen, living in Miami, those who act like they had the most money, they lived the richest lifestyle, they had the greatest lives, they had the worst lives. Okay? All the Instagram hoes that you see, yeah. I can tell you, many of them I know personally, their lives are miserable.
I met some of them.
Those are the people, they boast the loudest, they yell the loudest because they have the most to hide. So if they draw enough attention to what they're yelling about, what they're trying to show you, then you don't see anything past it. And that's what, we were talking about, the distraction. And it goes to one of the most interesting books, if anyone's ever read Fahrenheit 451. It talked exactly about this. That book was about mom. If anyone's never read it,
add that to the book list.
Add that to the book list. It's about what the future would be like, essentially. And there's a little girl in the book, which would be mom. And they basically described it as, in the future, the whole society's existence was distraction. So everybody basically only had one television show to watch, and it was all drama-filled. They only had theme parks, which would get their adrenaline rushing. They would drink all the time. So that was the only hobbies that they had: drinking, adrenaline, and drama. And all external, everything to just keep them in that hyper state. And they weren't allowed to read books because books in that storyline represented knowledge or wisdom, and they couldn't access it. And the little girl in the book was mom, and she was living in the present moment of now. And the whole story was about this guy who met her, and she was always outside playing with the flowers and walking around, and no one else was ever outside, and he thought she was so strange. And she taught him how to be in the present moment of now, because she saw this beautiful existence, and he was like, how does nobody else see this? And then, the main character in the book ends up being a book saver and started hoarding books so that people could get knowledge. But that story is exactly what plays out now, is everybody's addicted to the external, the drama, the adrenaline, drugs, alcohol. That's all of humanity. And they're missing the present moment of now. They're missing the little girl who's trying to show them the magic of life, because everything else is too interesting to their mind. It's that it has to feed that void because they are unfulfilled in their life. And so they need that addiction in order to feel like they have something to live for.
To add to that story also, from what I felt into, the girl was fearless.
Mm-hmm.
She had no fear. That's mother. And it's a very different reality when you live life without no fear. Not a taste of it. And wow, to have that experience, that blessing, I would start recalling mother's stories again of her experience and what she went through. And I was like, wow, this is where you're at and where no one else is. You can conceive, in your mind, oh, I've been through that. Oh, I know what that is. It's an experience. It's not something you can perceive in the mind. It's an experience. And you have to break through any conditionings, any habits and behaviors, even down to the most smallest thing. Example now would be, did you really hear what we're attempting to share with you?
Right.
Or are you focused on the external? Are you focused on our clothes? On how we're sitting? Or truly feeling the words we're sharing with you? Did you go into distraction?
Did you watch it at all? Did you
go,
make it this far?
Did you go into any other dynamic?
Judgment.
This is how you can gauge yourself and catch yourself and make a different choice. Listen with the heart. Because when you live fearlessly, like Mother does, then you get to taste her reality. What it is to be really love in the physical. And push that energy. Be the example. Be inspiration in human form. And this is what we push here with Mother sessions, with the natural remedies that we provide to help you evolve, to help you mature in spiritual evolution. Because to all of creation, they already know where humanity's at.
Yep.
And it ain't on the intellectual scale. In truth, they see intellectuality as illusion. Brilliance. And what is brilliance? Experience and knowing together. It's one, and you're brilliant. Being love. Because if you're still stuck on just knowing, or thinking because you know something because you read a book, not in the experience, you're simply stuck.
Yeah, you can see with those, turning against mom or not even doing their research to learn about mom before they make comments. And most of it's, just immediate thinking they know better. You did this, you did that, here's all the blah, 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 same hatred stuff over and over and over again. But did you watch mom's 15 years of videos? Did you go on the website and read articles? Did you read testimonials? Did you try the products? Did you talk to the team, book a session? If your answer is no to any of this, then you are totally on one side. You haven't done the research to see both. Anybody with experience knows how fucked everything is out there, how fucked religion is, how fucked the system is, how fucked TV is, and listening to those things on TV. Mom said it the other day in one of the chats, pretty sure last night. She was like, anybody who casts judgment from the Dr. Phil show is low consciousness, period. If you did not laugh at how comical that was in such a hit piece, and even though at the end of the day, mom it fucking sucked for her end, she still laughs about it, we make jokes about it, we've moved on. But if you took that so seriously and actually took time to come onto our page, be hateful, join the troll movement, like if you guys really have that much time on your hands to hate somebody you don't know, you haven't met personally, troll for 2 years, 5 years, new, fresh off the boat from Dr. Phil, if you haven't done your research, if you think you know what's up without ever really knowing mom and knowing what it's been here day in and day out, us for almost 3 years, Michael for 8 years, then you really don't have a say in this. It's like going into your home and thinking that I know everybody in your house and your family and I think I have it all figured out and start yelling at you that you guys all suck. That's what you guys are doing, coming to our page thinking you have it all figured out. I'm just going to walk into someone's house, start yelling at them about how racist and how horrible they are without knowing them. You don't know us. You don't know mom. You watched a 2-hour, mostly commercial-filled piece that was skewed, which we have addressed and called out, and if you think that you have it all figured out about mom, if you go on a troll page with other people that hate themselves and think you have it all figured out, you are wrong. And that's what I just say to people now. I'm like, thank you for your lovely feedback. Either way, she's God, you're wrong, and I just leave it at that. And that spins them. They'll send paragraphs back, and they'll be like, you're a traitor!
Keyboard warriors.
I'm like, I'm sending this woman today. She goes, after the whole talking about mom's sister or whatever, that it wasn't her sister, she said, leave me the hell alone. So I didn't reply. She messaged me back 3 more times in a row without me answering. I was like, lady, you told me to leave you alone, ma'am. Ma'am,
and that's the addiction to taking energy.
And she kept going, and you can see it. And if anybody is supporting mom, read the comments, laugh at them. It's hysterical. The same ego babble over and over and over again. And I do just want to touch on a book, since Aurora brought up that book. 1984 by George Orwell. If you have read it, reread it. Yeah. There is a piece, and this is similar to what they did to mom, is that they had a certain time of the day where they put up somebody that they were supposed to hate's picture on a television, and everybody for like a certain amount of minutes screamed at the television in hatred and anger and rage and hated that person. Very similar to what they did to mom. It is exactly.
Listen to the examples.
Can't make that up.
It's very profound, and even the subtleties of comedy. Profound words were fucking suck, because that's what we're at right now with humanity. It's pretty fucked,
and they suck.
And they like to suck a lot. And yes, you can suck through messages, because that's what they want. They want to suck, and even the families, the environments, they suck on the children. What do you think her mother's family wants to do to her? Suck on her.
They're
come back to us.
You need to come back. She's 44 years old.
So we can put you in judgment, put you all these other dynamics, this fake reality, in which mother's not worthy of whatsoever. No. And it goes for any of you out there. You have a choice too. You have a choice. You can stay in your environment of dysfunction or move forward. You can ask yourself, what's keeping you there? It ain't the heart. Attachment is big.
And the part is that, all of these beings, especially the trolls, I know very well how unfulfilled their lives are. They can pretend all day, and they often do. This one lady today, I love it. She's like, you're all in hiding. Why are you all hiding? You won't tell us where you are. I'm like, ma'am, if you think in your mind, because what? Because we're not going to post our address on the internet, that we're in hiding?
That we're not full transparency?
That's insanity. I said, what's your address?
She wouldn't give
Post it. She wouldn't give it. And she went on this rampage of how she's in touch with all of these families of team members who have lost their children. I said, ma'am, everybody here is between the ages of 30 and like 70 years old. So nobody is a child. Please stop referencing us as children. Right. That mentality itself is one of the biggest parental programmings in 3D, and I talk about it all the time because it's a huge programming that I grew up with, that many people grew up with, where the parents think they own the children, and I'm 30 years old. Okay? I'm free to do what it is I want to do. I'm not under the control of anybody else.
You just moved to another state.
It's called sucking.
Yeah,
You want to suck on your family members. That's what it's called.
Stay close by.
And get drained, put them in your dysfunction.
Control.
Instill your perception, your beliefs.
In your box.
And what that lady was doing is just projecting onto her.
And she was like, my life is so fulfilled. I was like, I bet.
If it is, you shouldn't have to say it. Do you see mom going on here who did everything and has every experience, ever sat there in any of her voice notes, any of her videos, boasting about how fulfilled her life is when she's God?
Your fulfilled life behind a social network.
Right.
Sure.
On Facebook.
That you're wasting all of your energy, if that is true, so you're wasting all of your energy talking to family members that you don't know, about people that you don't know, and commenting on a page that you don't understand.
And you don't like. But your life is so fulfilled. Sage from Hawaii, who lives in Princeville, Kauai.
I don't care. And those are the things that are so are so boggling. And it is sad, though, because truly everybody is so unfulfilled. I mean, that is the root of everything of humanity. We laugh at it and I call it out because you need to see it. But of course, I do have compassion at the end of the day, because I know, whether you want to lie to yourself or not, how unfulfilling 3D is.
And the state of denial amongst humanity is profound. Profound. The fake joy, the misconception of that you're fulfilled, that you're an example for other people.
You're doing this on Facebook?
Yet you're spewing shit on a social network, on a text message, and your life is fulfilled. It's quite the opposite. Even for me, I never had this experience coming from New York. No, people had either jobs, multiple jobs, families, responsibilities. This dynamic of going behind a computer and spewing shit is just, quite frankly, a white dynamic. I've never seen this, never heard of it. I'm like, what?
That I will agree with you. It's definitely a white dynamic.
Who does this shit?
Housewives.
That's you're very much in denial, and that goes for the trolls as well.
Immature.
Even the ones that are getting paid, because yes, a lot of the trolls out there are paid. You have to really come to that realization when trolls are coming up at 6 in the morning to spoo shit. You're paid.
Someone's paying you something.
Yeah. Yeah, to wake up at that time, to be straight on the computer and just spread mis and disinformation, hatred, fantasy, belief systems, that someone's paid.
And if you're not getting paid and you're getting up that early to troll our live streams,
you're
that's
fucked
even.
up.
That's
you're fucked up.
Yeah, that's just, you're
You
fucked.
are so fucked up.
It's just wrong.
It's just wrong. And that's, everybody out there, if you can get out of denial, if you can really admit to yourself that you're not in joy, you're not fulfilled with your life, you're not happy, the only people, everybody feels that if they put on this show and that they make everybody else believe how great their life is, that somehow that's going to make their life better. Lying to yourself is only hurting yourself. And if you can admit that, you can get to the next stage. You can get to the next level where you can actually listen to what we're saying, book a session, learn that it is possible to have a fulfilling life. Is there going to be fucking challenges every day? You want to have challenges, come to Mission. Day in and day out. But what Mom has taught, and what she has always lived, was that no matter what, she was going to find a passion and a fulfillment and a joy in serving a mission that was much greater than herself.
Mm-hmm.
And most of what she did was break cycles.
Yes.
And I bring that up just because the dynamic of mother and child. See, the reason that your kids are in a lower dynamic is a reflection of you.
Yep.
They took on your shit.
Mm-hmm.
And mother had to transform everything that her family tried to instill on her. Yep. She was breaking the cycles. And since she broke the cycles, she can then raise the children, everyone here, all of us, in unity, in function, in love. Not just her children, but everyone. Breaking cycles. You didn't get that from Dr. Phil. You didn't get that from his wife. You didn't get that from Linda, Mother's Earth Mother. And that's the truth that we are attempting to establish here, even with the Crystal Schools, which is Mother's passion. Because you have to learn to break the cycles. And once you do that, the children have a grand opportunity to fulfill their purpose here. Because the children know. Children are wired so differently. And they feel so much. But it's you, the parent, who has to break those cycles. And then they'll change. everything that Hope and Era mentioned, absolutely true. But the breaking the cycles part, that's bravery. That's courage.
Be different. To speak your truth. To stand up for what is right. To not follow the herd mentality that is very prevalent right now on this planet as we're in a 3D to 5D split of consciousness. Everybody that has, starting with Mom and Love is One, those that have talked back, talked down, not believed, not felt, been in the mind, everybody's going to get their karma. No matter what your opinion is, it doesn't mean it's right. She is God, period. And just like everybody in 3D land will have a roller coaster of their life when they realize that they have been fighting for the cabal. And the ones that they have been attacking are the ones that are working to change society, to get the truth out, to stand with Trump, who is preaching the truth, to get disclosure for the whole truth, which is Mother and Father God. So everybody that thinks that they are right, that is talking the loudest, that is acting in hatred, violence, fear, pain, and suffering, it is coming. Those that are the silent majority, those that watch these videos, we get thousands of views. It's just not the trolls. They are just the ones that speak the loudest. We have 20,000 likes or people on the Love is One Facebook page. Those that there are the silent majority, that feel Mom, that haven't done anything about it yet or silently watch our live streams. We know you're there. It is coming. That everybody that has said you are wrong, that you have had to shut down because of what you feel in your heart is real, and you're not able to speak it to the egos around you, their time is coming. Mom's time is here. It's her time to shine. Everything that Mom has done, all of her work, all of the dedication for this mission, all of creation, everything will be fulfilled. And everybody will see that, whether you think it's true or you feel it and you know it's real, doesn't matter if you hate it or you fully support. Either way, this is the whole truth.
And to clarify, karma is not condemnation. It's not judgment. The true God doesn't do that. Karma is soul growth. Whatever your soul and God decide for your evolution,
Yes.
however profound that will be. And I say will be because it's already happening. And yes, karma has to be paid. And yes, you are here for soul growth. So however that may transpire, it is unique to your soul and with God. And she will not take that away. Because she loves you that much. For you to grow. For you to get out of your shit. For you to be who you truly are. Because there's a great misconception to that. To what karma is.
Soul growth.
The balancing of the scales.
So you gotta
lessons and blessings.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what Mom said in her video. She's like, you're either gonna get a lot of lessons, which are still good, but you're gonna get rocked by them, or you're gonna get the blessings of being the embodiment of love. So it's up to you to decide. In the mind, you're gonna get your lessons to get out of the mind. If you're in the heart already, supporting, choosing love, being the best that you can be every moment, and being the example of love to others, you will get the blessings.
Yep, it's simply a path correction.
All roads lead to God.
And like
it can seem fucked up.
It can seem fucked up,
but
it's gonna. The universe will correct you always. God, Mom, our higher selves, everything, it will always correct you. And like Hope said, what your opinion is, what you believe, what you think, doesn't matter. And I'll say it again, like I said in the last video, just because you're mad doesn't mean we're wrong. Okay? Just because you're mad does not mean we're wrong.
I'm going to use that one.
Yeah, see, that's a good one.
Just because you yell and scream and you're triggered doesn't make you right. It simply makes you retarded. Because you believe that because you feel like a victim, that makes you right. It doesn't.
Total wrong.
Thousands of years ago, they all believed that the earth was flat. Lo and behold,
they still do.
I know some flat earthers are still out there, but it didn't mean you were right. Lo and behold, it ain't flat.
Everyone fell for it for some good moments, maybe a couple 100 years. They were like, yeah, Earth's flat.
You know, there's so many things that throughout history and evolution, people thought and was later proved incorrect. Just like humanity thought that we were the only living species out there, that Earth was the only planet with human life. Well, lo and behold, that's not true. So you have to really feel into yourself that everything you think is correct is only because you have a limited perspective.
Because a book told you.
Or a book told you, which you don't even know who wrote that book. Like, literally, I tell people with the Bible, someone random could have literally sat down and wrote a fictional story and published it, and you are, like, so attached to it, and you have no idea where it even came from.
No.
That's insane.
Let's go to belief system. Not too hard to figure that one out. Belief system. How about enjoying the experience for yourself, finding out through life? Because that's where Mother's at, in the experience. You want to grow? Want to move beyond your box? Experience. Because that's how you're going to gain maturity. Spiritual evolution. Because all of creation's waiting. And they're here to back up Mother.
Yeah.
I want to stress that. They are here to back up Mother. Father is here to back up Mother. They're not here for humanity. Humanity is along for the ride if they so choose. But humanity does not control creation, does not control evolution. So if you're one of those people who are in deep state of denial in which you think you're in control, well, the karma will present itself to you.
We don't have to do anything.
In many ways.
So, well, thank you guys. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
No, I feel that was
good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for taking your moments to watch this video. We love you all. Thank you for the love and support after the Dr. Baldman show. Thank you, Michael, for joining us today. We're very grateful to have Michael.
I'm honored to be here with my sisters, share the truth, and also the information that needs to be shared in this moment, so you can all wake the fuck up.
Right. And love Mom, and thank you to the ones that saw the show and have reached out and, apologize and be like, I'm sorry that, this happened to you, even though it's not their fault at all, but, that they're interested in learning more, hearing about Mom, everybody that's stuck by Mom through this experience, the strong ones. Mom has shared, at this point, we're at a breaking point of strong versus weak. So that's where the divide is going to be. Are you strong enough to stand in your power for God, for the truth, or are you going to be weak and fall back into the programming or not get out of the programming? So thank you guys so much for the love for Mom. She did want this other video to be put out for you guys to hear more about energetics, what's been going on, the experiences from Michael's point of view and some deeper energetics on things. So thank you for taking moments to watch this. Mom's really excited about it. So thank you all for loving, supporting. We love you all so much. We'll be back with some more videos per guidance. Fingers crossed, maybe the Galactics live stream soon. We don't know. We'll see what's going on, but Mom is safe. She's secure. Her strep throat is a lot better. She doesn't have it anymore. She's feeling much better today. So thank you guys so much for loving her and sending her prayers. We love you all so much.
Love
and
you.
We will see you soon. Love you.